and Major. The crowd's thinned out, but I do appreciate all you guys that are here. All right, spawning in the top left-hand position. CJ Sky Eye, it is Major. Apparently, and in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the red Zerg. Gamania Sen. Everybody's delirious here.
Yeah. It's a good thing Sen has a short name to Sen, otherwise that Gamania tag could start doing some stuff. I don't know.
Doing some stuff? What type of stuff would it do?
I don't know. Make him shorten his name. Like Tasia, with that double liquid tag, I think you might have to abbreviate himself to TJ pretty soon.
That would be cool. You would like that, though.
You might.
Very standard play coming out from Sen, going for the 15 hatch. Refinery first. No, this is just a regular barracks refinery, I'm sorry. But probably just a regular Reaper opening coming out here from Major. So this looks absolutely standard to what we normally see. Mm-hmm. The last time we saw him play on this map, he did a very big Hellion attack and just snowballed that into mech, where he was just able to completely overwhelm his opponent. I mean, there was never a chance, there was never an engagement where Major was behind. And I feel like it was overall a good style, but it only can be played on Akalon Waste. Right? Like, it's just because of the expansion locations, the third base, the natural being so clustered up. Mm-hmm. You know, 4 Thors can really lock down a lot of positions. It could really defend against everything that exists in terms of aggressive options from the Zerg player. No thoughts?
I guess that's true. I don't think we'll see him play mech again, especially since he played it last time in this map. If your opponent might think you're doing it, then you don't want to do it, I feel like is the way you go about it when going mech. Although some players, they have differing thoughts. We've seen Flash go mech a lot at IM, which just happened recently. I don't know if you caught any of his games. Mm-hmm. A lot of exciting mech games that usually ended in him losing, from what I remember. But he put up a good fight, and it was pretty cool.
Do you ever think mech has any place in ZVT, honestly?
It did in Wings of Liberty, for sure. Although it wasn't the most common build still, it was used a fair bit in Wings of Liberty, a lot more than it is nowadays. And I think it was pretty good back then. If you could get up to that high Raven count, then it could be pretty difficult for Zerg to deal with.
And what is it? Is it just the Viper that changes everything, or is it the Swarm Host? What is it that makes it so different than Wings of Liberty?
It's just the Viper, I think. In Wings of Liberty, you couldn't do anything like just Roach Hydra and then add a couple Vipers and stomp over a mech army. It's nothing like that you could do. You had to go Broodlord heavy. And I think that's why it's a lot worse now. Because if you can get that Viper out, you can completely shut any mech timing attack down. And it's difficult to transition to Ravens before they can do a timing attack with Vipers.
Sure, yeah.
So
it's not like you're going to get Ghosts out or anything like that directly, I wouldn't say counters, but like kind of deals with Vipers.
Yeah, and even if you did, if they can land the blinding clouds they need before they die to snipe or EMP or whatever, then you can still lose the fight pretty badly.
So check out this. Starport going down. Look at the location. This is clearly just to hide it. And it looks like he's going to do some sort of medevac drop, I'm assuming, because there's no tech labs that's near this starport. It could be a tech lab directly after this, don't get me wrong. But maybe in conjunction with his Hellions, no, he's just going to throw down that tech lab separately. And if Sen ever pokes in to see what's going on, he'll see nothing.
Yeah, this is going to make his boat about 30 seconds later, though. So
yeah, I mean, tech lab takes 25 seconds. So
maybe a bit less because the starport's closer to the Zerg base. So that'll eliminate a second or two.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 or
wow.
5.
Cloak's going to be initiated. Of course, that's kind of facilitated by the second refinery that has been made. Sen still not moving in. There it is. This Overlord scouting pattern will go ahead and see everything that's happening.
Maybe he will play mech. Mech is a follow-up that you can do from Cloak Banshee. Cloak Banshee transitions into mech pretty easily. And although I didn't think he would go mech, you never know. I do like this Hellion Cloak Banshee play, though. I hope he commits a bunch to Hellions, because I talked about that earlier. I think it's still very good. Queens can't deal with a lot of Hellions and Banshees.
Queens are being attacked right now, and these Hellions are doing a pretty good job. Not enough energy for a Transfuse just yet, it looks like. Zerglings will sprint forward just to tank a little bit of the damage while the Queens eliminate one of those Hellions. Now additional Hellions going to be grouped up here, so this is very similar play to what we've seen previously. Third command center is going to be placed down. Is the defense going to be good enough? Transfuse is good. Another Transfuse is good, and he's going to be able to save all of these Queens. Now sprinting forward yet again, but a lot of these Zerglings will go down, and good micro overall from our Terran friend over here, Major.
But he just made a critical blunder. He lost that Banshee before Cloak was done, and that's huge.
That is huge, and now losing a lot of his Hellions to the Queens, just falling apart a little bit here. As the Overlord did see, by the way, that this starport was researching the Cloak, so everything's going the way of Sen. He will have Spore Crawlers coming up here, and on top of that, he has his lair already finished, so he can keep up.
You know what's in production, though? That
2
makes
armors.
me happy. 2 armories. That means it's going to be mech.
Yep. Well, it better be.
Yeah.
If it's not, then we have a serious problem. I'm going to call it Major. Oh, pushing in. These Queens need to be careful, but copious amounts of Transfuses are available. 3, 4? Almost 4. But Spire is going to go down here, potentially denied.
Oh, these
by the
Lings
Banshee.
getting into his base, though, could do some damage.
Killing a couple of SCVs. Yeah, this does work out really nicely because the mule times not really, well, able to punish that. Units lost tab so far looking pretty similar. The Spire was denied, just to let you know. And now the Banshee is going to be microed back. Not going to be able to do much after this. And Sen going into his regular mass droning directly after this. He's up to actually a pretty comparable amount of Harvesters relative to his opponent. And Major continuing with this large amount of Hellion. This can do a lot of damage. I mean, there's not that great of DPS on these Queens. And he needs to transfuse them quickly. No, 2 go down before he's able to use any of them. Sen really caught off guard.
He doesn't have that many Zerglings out either.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble.
Hellions.
He's in a lot of trouble now, taking down the Spore Crawler to enable those Banshees to start getting into the mix. Big scan to take out all the creep tumors. Major looking really good, although 1-1 about to finish. The 1-1 doesn't really help that much, but the by the amount of Hellions that are out in the field, it's kind of told to Sen already. Jeez, it's kind of told to Sen already that it is going to be mech play. Going into a great position. Oh, I love this. And the Hellions are not going, or excuse me, the Zerglings are not going to be able to get a good surround on all of these units. The Hellions will be cleaned up, but at what cost? All the Zerglings, all the drones being taken out, and the Banshees still stay alive. Two Banshees are wrecking the field, but 6 mutas underway. Can he stay alive? The Spore Crawler able to take out one of the Banshees. A big misstep over here.
Another Banshee joining it. I think Major maybe made a small mistake in taking out the creep tumors before he started going for the drones there.
Sure.
But he still took out a lot of drones, and he's killing even more with these Banshees. He's really getting the use out of them before the mutas come out. Getting another 6 or 7 kills there.
Nice job by him. And now the mutas are out and about. But look, the third base is already up. Turrets can be placed pretty soon here. As soon as the eBay is finished. And on top of that, Thors are in production. Already 2 of them out on the field. Another 2 in production. 60 seconds is the window that these mutas really have before they're just absolutely slaughtered.
And Sen still has no idea it's mech. Well, now I think he does,
well,
seeing the Thors.
I think after seeing so many Hellions, you have to kind of assume.
Yeah, but he's just now making his Roach Horn, so I don't know about that.
That's true. It could have been just a very high concentration of Hellions in the
I know
beginning
I've seen 4GG do that sometimes. Just make about 16 Hellions and still go bio. But
Muta's going to poke in here, doing damage against the SCVs. This helps out and abusing the immobility of those Thors. He's going to poke in here, but takes a big shot. Needs to be careful. Those Thors aren't just regular Thors. They have +1/+1. So if you want to initiate against that, guess what? You have to think twice. And on top of that, just another upgrade, and they'll be able to 2-shot mutas. It's a really nice advantage there.
Mm-hmm. And I think Major's in a pretty good position now, actually.
I think he's in a great position. I mean, we can say he's pretty far ahead economically, especially. 68 harvesters to 68. Normally Sen is at a stage where he's at 80 harvesters already. But I don't think he can even afford the larva to do that because the incoming push. He knows already 2 Thors are up, and he knows his opponent, Major, is making something else out of those factories that made the Thors. So he's like, okay, well, he could run a timing really quickly. I have to prepare. It's all going to be units from here on out until he really realizes that, okay, I can stabilize a little bit here.
And just now he's throwing down the infestation pit to
Oh.
detect vipers, I think.
This is good. Muta's going to get in here and potentially, well, can they get the armory? The armory would be like awesome.
Yeah, I don't think they get the armory though.
No, I don't think so either.
But they're getting a refinery is still helpful because mech is so gas dependent.
Yes. Oh, they get, I mean, yeah, it helps out a little bit. And the roaches are aggressing up, maybe looking for a place where he can actually attack into. He sees a couple of siege tanks in the front, not sieged up. This might be the timing. Glue Reconstitution just about to finish. The Thors have gone all the way to the top. +2 might be denied here. And this is the big attack Sen needs to actually even up the game. Picked up into a medevac, but it's not going to be enough. Roach is still going to do a lot of damage. Moving into the natural. Siege tanks are going to be sieged up. And will they be able to do enough damage? No, he's just going to run into the third base. That helps out so well. The mutas are retained, 4 of them actually. But he needs to be so careful. Remember, the 2-2 advantage over his opponent, it means so much. Roach is again aggressing on, and he's going to get a good surround. This just might be too many units, but some great micro. Going to share the HP of those Thors. And look at all these roaches just getting torn apart, finally getting into the Thor count. And it looks like Sen somehow or another is going to pull this off. I don't know how he did it, but he was able to manage this after being behind so badly in the beginning stages. The Thor again going to be lifted up, but the siege tanks just trickle in and not in large enough count, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he just caught Major completely off guard in this game, actually. Major, in response to the Mutalisk, he sent all 4 to 5 of his Thors back into his main, and he actually sent the Hellbats back with him too, because they were hotkeyed with the Thors.
Oh.
And then he just had a siege tank sitting unsieged in front of his base, and
it just goes downhill from there. And even with the upgrade advantage that exists, it doesn't really matter because it's 2 base economy, right? Like income tab showing 70 to 56. There are no SCVs mining over here, or very small amounts of SCVs mining there. 33 cannot be continued on, so you can see that the roaches will catch up eventually. But Major is doing what he needs to get back into this, starting out with the Hellbat drops. This will help out, but Viper's on the way with a small count of siege tanks and Thors out in the field. I don't know if there's any way that Major can come back into this.
me either. The way Terran usually tries to deal with Vipers when they're going mech is to get enough Vikings out to one-shot a Viper. And then you just try to kill the Vipers as much as you can and limit the amount of blinding clouds and abducts they can use. So even if they can land them once, you can just kill a Viper each time they try to use it. But it's going to be tough for him to get enough Vikings to deal with the Vipers with still having a strong mech army.
Hellbat drops are doing a good job just buying a little bit of time, but +2/+2 is on the way for Sen, so that'll just help out a little bit later on with equalizing the upgrades. And of course, Sen's trying to get the money composition of Vipers mixed into that composition with Hydras as well. Group Spine's going to be upgraded along with 6 Hydras being made. He is max 200-200. Sen did not care about the beginning stages because he's just outplaying Major.
A lot of this is just roaches though. And even though roaches, it is a good unit, it needs that Viper support. So maybe if Major can spread out his units enough or somehow take out these Vipers, then he has a chance.
Like 2 blinding clouds will shut this down.
Yeah, he's not positioned that well. Those 2 tanks that are next to each other, one blinding. Oh, and I don't know why he's setting up like this against Vipers.
Oh, and well, the Vikings actually help out so much.
Yeah.
Almost killed one of those Vipers.
I feel like Sen could have maybe committed there, and even though 1 or 2 Vipers would have died, 2 Vipers is 4 blinding clouds, and that's enough to win a fight like this.
Yeah.
But the problem is he doesn't have vision of Major's army, so he doesn't know how many units are here and whether or not he can commit like that.
Attack over in the main base is going to do a little bit of damage here, but that gets cleaned up. And we're just waiting for the big engagement, honestly.
Yeah, and I think Major's going to want to go for some kind of push, because if he's planning on playing a just a passive game where he sits in 4 bases, I think he would be adding more starports and transitioning to your favorite unit, Ravens, by now. But since he's not, I think this is the style that you want to push with, because as you sit back, your army doesn't get any better, and his does as he has more Vipers and Hydroliths into his composition.
And not only that, he has a bank that he can just remax instantly and start killing you with, which is so scary. Now it looks like Major is doing something over here. What's a good count of Hellbats that you want in this composition? Because I almost feel like Hellbats, they're good for tanking, but you can get to a situation where you make too few or too many.
I feel like you want as few as possible, but I mean, they don't cost gas, so that's why you usually have a lot of them.
Oh, so you think like it should only be Siege Tank Thor, basically?
Theoretically, Siege Tank Thor I think is better than
I guess
Hellbat
so.
Siege
That
Tank
makes
Thor.
sense.
But I mean, you're always going to have a lot of Hellbats because you can't afford to have pure Siege Tank Thor.
Oh, Vikings being pulled in, and they will not live much longer. Looks like he's just going to go back and try to get a little bit more more energy. That's completely fine.
Yeah, and he has Ultraless Cavern coming down too, and he's transitioning to Ultras, I think, with the melee upgrades and the Carapace. Major's adding a 5th command center. Still hasn't started any more starports though, and he's actually producing a lot more Hellbats now. I'm sure why, because if you look at his gas, he has a lot of gas banked up, which seems like you'd want to use that for either more factories to produce tanks and Thors, or to transition to Sky Terran. Because otherwise, I mean, as mech, you usually want to spend all of your gas, because there's all the mech units that cost gas are pretty good, you know?
Yes. Well, maybe he's just thinking like, oh, well, I have all the time in the world. I can just slowly trade out my SCVs eventually.
Well, there come another couple of starports now. So, maybe it's just for more Vikings, though? It's hard to tell at this point.
I don't know. But we have a couple of yoinks here. And they're going to get shut down pretty easily. It's hard for Sen to aggress right now, honestly. Because of the Vikings. Oh, God! Nice target fire on the Vikings that are farthest away. And he's going to lose all 4 of his Vipers. I'll get there.
You can play this out in a couple of different ways as Sen. My personal favorite way to play this out is just to never attack Terran and just sit back and bank up more and more money so I can do whatever I want with it. However, this may not always be the most effective way to play it. Just because
the old 30 Ultralist switch. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the coolest transition in the world.
And if it doesn't work, then you just go into mass like 50 meters switch or something. It can be okay, but it usually won't win you any games.
Mutas are like the devil, right? In this situation. It makes a lot of sense because you don't have the upgrades to really do anything with it.
And I mean, the problem is if Terran starts making Ravens, you can never fight them with your Mutas.
Sure.
And Major now, he did make 1 Raven, so I have hope. And this is one map where if any map is a map where you're going to go Mech, Turtle, Raven, this is the one. Because you can sit on those 4 bases in a pretty defensible position. And from that, 4 base gas can make a lot of Ravens. You know how much gas is in one refinery? It's like 2,500. It's like 12 Ravens per gas. Think, you could have 48 Ravens and no other units if you wanted.
You could, and it'd be incredibly cost efficient. Because you just throw down 30 PDDs, never be attacked by anything, and then just wait until your auto turrets kill everything. It's perfect.
I don't actually like this Ultralist.
I don't either.
Because the problem is, Major is turtling so hard, and the buildings pathing, like this command center he is putting here, kind of bottlenecks the Ultras, and they can't do too much. And it's kind of dumping a lot of gas into a unit that's not accomplishing anything the Roaches already couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they do more damage to clumped units than Roaches, but if they're not clumped, then they don't have that much more DPS than their supplying Roaches does. And sometimes the Roaches can also kind of block the pathing of the Ultras and make it hard to engage.
Yes.
And Roaches are incredibly short range. So having them in this composition means that the Roaches behind the Ultras, if the Ultras go in front, a lot of them won't be able to shoot until they close incredibly close to the mech army.
Yoink, 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 and yoink again.
And yoink,
and yoink again.
Yoink. Oh, he missed one.
And it looks like Sen will be able to hold this off pretty nicely.
Siege tank drop, that's kind of interesting. I would have thought it would only be Hellbats.
No, those are a mix.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I think only Hellbats is maybe better. because
He wants more Ravens, bro.
yeah. But he's replacing with some more Hellbats too. I'm not sure why he's not transitioning to Ravens quicker, to be honest. He has lots of gas. He could have easily been making them faster if he wanted to, you know?
Sen not looking to actually go for the engagement here, and I don't blame him.
I mean, Sen's doing what every Zerg loves to do. You just love to have lots of money, lots of larva, and lots of ultralisk.
Yep.
But
Blinding Cloud is going to be effective here, shutting down a lot of the siege tanks, and Sen's just rolling through.
Yeah, I think Major might be spread out a bit too much, actually. He has a lot of tanks all the way up here. I don't think you want to make a huge defensive line like this, because then it's so weak at any one point.
And especially in the most open area, this area, I mean, you can be flooded very easily. And after losing all that supply in the medevac drops, I mean, why wouldn't you, right? I mean, it's perfectly reasonable and logical. And now we're going to see a big switch. What is it going to be in, though? 4,200 gas banked up. But nope, it's not even going to get there. GG gets